What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman as we are live here breaking down the latest around your favorite football team. We'll dive into some training camp winners and losers to start today's show. We're also going to talk about two UDFAs at the cornerback position that have been turning heads at camp. And then I do want to go over some blockbuster trades that will most likely not happen before the season. But if the Vikings start hot, trade deadline rolls around, maybe we could see this football team go all in. Then we'll also have a mailbag here in about 40 minutes or so. But the season's just around the corner. I cannot wait. All these training camp clips I'm seeing on Twitter and everything, it got me absolutely fired up. So if you guys are excited about the Vikings season, hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. We'll give you guys some shout-outs here. Got Roger Bong in the building with Zazie, James F., Joey Tana, Bobby Blogs, Russell Orr. Shout out to all you guys. Corey Miller in the house as well. Big O Beast in the building. The Gray Warden, Z Cool, Brandon, Great V7, Andre, Lego Fella, all the real ones in the building. Dwayne Olson, too. What up, man? Marcos, man, saying I'm ready for the Vikings versus Bears game. I can't wait. What a better stage. Monday Night Football, playing your division rival, J.J. McCarthy returning to his hometown, and you're going up against the offseason champion Chicago Bears, where sure, if you ask people, hey, who do you think is going to be better this season, the Vikings or the Bears? I bet you it's about a 50-50 split, which I think is a little ridiculous. But, wait and see how it plays out. Monday night in Chicago. Isaiah saying the Vikings floor is 9-8. I agree. I think the Vikes got an incredibly high floor this season just with the talent on the roster and the coaching staff. But the ceiling comes down to J.J. McCarthy. I think the Vikings will be good enough to get to at least 9-10 wins with just the roster, even if JJ's playing at a, middle of the pack level. But if he plays at a top 10 quarterback level, this team is a Super Bowl contender, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But let me ask you guys this. So probably the biggest winner so far from Vikings training camp, if you guys have been seeing it, it's been Jeff Okudah. Apparently he's looking good, going toe-to-toe with guys like Addison, Ty Felton, Jalen Naylor. So are you buying into the Jeff Okudah hype? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Dylan, are you buying into it? I mean, this guy, former third overall pick, hasn't really worked out. He's on his fourth team in the last 3 seasons. Are you buying into it?
I think I am. I mean, Brian Flores, we've seen what he's done with cornerbacks in the past, like Xavier Howard, for instance, in Miami. Yep. I mean, look at where he is now. He's not even on the team. But when Brian Flores was there, this guy was an all-pro. So Brian Flores knows the formula to getting the best out of his cornerbacks.
Yeah, and plus Xavier Howard, like Jeff Okudah, like press man, going to be physical, going to gamble a little bit. I'm buying into it to a certain extent. Now, I'm not buying into it where it's like, oh, he's going to be the guy everybody thought he was coming out of college. But I'm buying into it in terms of I think he could be a solid cornerback, too, for this group. I'm not guaranteeing that it's Isaiah Rodgers being the corner across from Byron Murphy. I think that's going to be a mini battle that we're going to watch during training camp and during the preseason as it continues. But we'll see. I mean, if he ends up popping, this cornerback room's looking a whole lot different. So we'll talk about him during our winners and losers video. That'll be coming up here first. And we will have 2 UDFAs we're going to talk about. They're balling at training camp. So Mia Vaughn, Dwight McLeather, and then we will speculate a little bit. It's going to get a little wild on our Blockbuster trade show. Just 5 massive trade targets for the Minnesota Vikings that won't happen before the season, but when the trade deadline rolls around. If this football team is 5-1, 4-2, maybe they could get ultra aggressive, and then we will be diving into a mailbag in about 45, 50 minutes or so. So if you guys want to get a question in there, use hashtag Vikings. And if you guys are ready to go, hit that thumbs up icon. We got 100 people in the building, but only 16 likes. If you guys could help me out, let's try to hit 25 likes here in the next couple of seconds. That would be awesome. And once you have liked the video, give me a skull down below. We also have Z Cool coming in with a $10 super chat. Appreciate that. A real one here on the channel. Big OB saying the floor is 17-0. I wish. That'd be pretty cool. 17-0 season. First year starting for J.J. McCarthy. Great V7 in the building. Sally S. saying comeback player of the year. My name is Jeff. That's funny. My name's Jeff. Brandon saying Skull. Roger saying Skull. The Fishing Bros in the building. Joey Tana. Big O Beast. Appreciate you guys. 33 likes. And now my guy Z Cool coming in. What's going on, man? Saying, how bad is the Jefferson injury? Is this something to keep an eye on throughout the season? It is not bad. It's a different hamstring that he hurt back in that 2023 season. They're putting him on ice right now. Kevin O'Connor talked about it, saying this is nothing to worry about. He'll for sure be ready to go week 1. Even KOC was talking about him being back for a couple training camp practices. So it's nothing to worry about right now. But I think I agree with you. It's something to keep your eye on just throughout the season. Now, first 2 weeks could come and go, and we don't see Jefferson limp. We see nothing on that hamstring. Then we can kind of put it to bed. But those hammies are an issue, because it's something that can linger throughout a season. So I would rather have the Vikings be overly cautious with this injury. Don't put him out there for these joint practices versus the Patriots. I know Jefferson's going to want to go and get some high-quality reps versus a guy like Christian Gonzalez, but I would say nothing to worry about right now. But again, a hamstring injury, it's always something to keep your eyes on. So no real worry there. But I appreciate you, Zeke Cool, for the $10 super chat. Shout out to you, man. Ginley Tim saying McCarthy just has to be competent. That's it. Just be average to start. Yeah, Dan Orlovsky today said if JJ plays like the 15th best quarterback in the league, the Vikings will be in the NFC title game. Orlovsky was also all over the Vikings before last season. I think he is one of the few people in the media that isn't just looking at, and honestly, I think this is a issue we have had over the last couple of years. And I honestly blame Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes for this, where people just only think the only two things matter are the head coach and the quarterback, which they matter more than any other position. I'm not disputing that. But I think we got to also give credit to the overall rosters. There's still 52 other players that are out there. And when we just saw a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, would you consider Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni a top quarterback head coach combo? I would not. If you just look at rosters top to bottom, this Vikings team has just as much talent as a lot of the top teams in the league, even up there with Baltimore, Philly, Detroit. I think the Vikings have a roster, especially in the NFC, they have a top 4 roster. It's them, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Rams. They are right up there with those top guys. So I'll say this. I understand JJ is a huge question mark. But if he just plays middle-of-the-pack football, this team is winning 10 to 12 games. And then if he is awesome, this team could be one of the more dominant ones in the National Football League. Lego Fellow saying, I love that guy's takes. LO gets me fired up for the season. Yeah, Dan Orlovsky is one of our guys, man. He is always showing love to the Minnesota Vikings. But coming up, we'll be diving into some training camp winners and losers. 2 UDFAs are balling. We got some blockbuster trade targets for your Minnesota Vikings. And get those questions in there. Hashtag Vikings. As Noah Carl saying, Commanders probably have a better roster. I disagree. I think if you stacked up each roster, the Vikings clear the Washington Commanders. Now, yes, they have the huge advantage at the quarterback position, but this Commanders team was drafted 2nd overall 2 years ago. They brought in Laramie Tunsil, brought in Deebo Samuel. They have some good players over there, but I would just take the Vikings roster outside of the quarterback position over the Commanders. King Jack saying the Vikes are going to be good this year. And then he's also following up saying the Vikings are going to do great this season. So if you guys are ready to go, I say we dive right into the first segment here, training camp winners and losers. And if you guys are ready to go, just give me a skull down below in the comments section. Appreciate everybody tuning in, 105 people in the building. And let's dive on into some training camp winners and losers. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to dive into some Minnesota Vikings training camp winners and losers. I got 5 winners, 3 losers for you guys. Now, this is just based off the training camp practices we have seen so far, so you can see some guys rise, even some losers on the list. They could end up being winners when it's all said and done. But I want to get the pulse of the fan base here on the channel, a little check. If you guys are subscribed to the channel, just give me a skull down below in the comment section. We'll give you guys a future shout out on a future show. And if you guys aren't subscribed, change that. Please hit that subscribe button. Football is back. And if you guys are a Minnesota Vikings sicko like I am, and I know a bunch of people that watch this channel are, hit that subscribe button. And once you do, give me a skull down below. So training camp winner number 1, and this is in no particular order. But I do want to lead off here with Donovan Jackson because we haven't really talked about Donovan Jackson too much. He's been kind of an under-the-radar player so far at Vikings training camp. And, obviously the Vikings spending the 24th overall pick on him. They were very high on this guy coming out of Ohio State. Now, he did play left tackle for the Buckeyes this past season. Josh Simmons got hurt. He had to bump out to the left tackle spot. but now he's back at his original position playing left guard for the Minnesota Vikings. And Wilbur Getz, who has been at Minnesota Vikings training camp every single day, saying this, the update on Jackson is that he's looked good and is progressing day by day. He's facing some major challenges in this camp, both in terms of mastering a complex offense and in going against former Pro Bowl defensive tackles Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. Within that context, the Vikings aren't expecting Jackson to be flawless, but they are expecting him to learn and grow. And that's a good point. It's an iron sharpens iron situation with D-Jack because he is going against Allen and Hargrave. But in terms of Donovan Jackson, I think this Vikings coaching staff is clearly very, very high on him because during the NFL draft, they had a lot of teams trying to trade up to pick number 24. And with the Vikings only having 4 picks in the entire draft at the start of it, a lot of people thought that they were a likely trade down target for the first round selection. But what did they do? They stick and they picked and they went with Donovan Jackson, guard out of Ohio State. And I think he is going to develop nicely because he has some great veterans on that offensive line. Ryan Kelly, Brian O'Neill, even I would consider Christian Darrisaw a veteran at this point. And with him going up against some great defensive tackles, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, I think the sky's the limit for this guy. I was very high on him before the pre-draft process. So no major reports coming out of training camp so far, but he is looking the part in the limited action we have seen. And also Kevin O'Connell was talking about Donovan Jackson, saying the other thing that carried over was his ability to react and sustain through downs even when it wasn't perfect. I think that's what gets young players sometimes. It's not the plays that you do your job and you get commended for it. It's the, hey, you do get beat quickly, can you recover and not just make the total down a loss? And there was a play that hits my mind. Jonathan Allen kind of got him off balance with a hump move that Jonathan's really good at as a strong 3 technique rusher. But then he obviously was able to come back from that and not make it a total loss on that play. So, I'm excited also to see Donovan Jackson on the preseason film. I think that's where we'll get the best look at him, at least just from a fan's perspective. Now, these coaches are getting a good look at him right now, but once you dive into the all-22, really see what he's all about. But he is a massive human being. He is a mauler at that offensive line. So, first-round pick for the Vikes, D. Jackson. He's looking good. At least the early reports from training camp indicate that. Now, we'll kick it to winner number 2 here. How about a little Dallas Turner? Now, if you guys are online at all, if you guys cover this Vikings team, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be, you guys have been seeing the hype around Dallas Turner, and he's been making plays all camp. There are multiple videos out there where he is just demolishing some backup offensive linemen for the Minnesota Vikings, putting spin moves on him. Just his bend is ridiculous. He's just a freaky athlete. And what's scary about Dallas Turner is compared to last year, he already looks bigger and more athletic. This was a guy we knew he was a freak athlete. We knew he was just a freak specimen coming off the edge. And if he looks bigger and he looks more athletic, and this guy's still only 22 years old, I can't imagine what he's going to look like when he's 25, 26. Because, again, most of us Vikings fans, we were freaking out that we didn't take Jared Verse over Dallas Turner. Jared Verse was 24 coming out of college. Dallas Turner was 21. So let him develop, give him some time. And I think we have a gem at the edge rusher position. But question becomes with Dallas Turner is, can Flores get him on the field more? And obviously, he's playing behind 2 all-pro guys, at least 2 should have been all-pro guys, and Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. So it's going to be tough for him to get on the football field. So, the pressure kind of shifts. Also, the Brian Flores be like, hey, we spent a lot of draft capital to go get a guy like Dallas Turner. You also got to make it work, and I think he will. Dallas Turner, I could see him having maybe like a Nolan Smith second-year boost where Nolan Smith obviously didn't play a whole lot his first year with the Eagles, but then he looked great this past season in his second year. But also another guy that's been turning heads, and we've talked about him a whole lot, Jeff Okudah. El Jefe is what they're calling him in the Minnesota streets right now, and he's looking good, man. That, big, physical, freak athlete type of cornerback, and I'll say this, if I had to rank these winners at training camp, he might have been number 1 on this list. He might be the biggest winner so far. And, he is a guy, if you look at the Vikings roster as a whole, and you just want to pick like, hey, I want that guy to pop. I think that will have the most impact for this football team. I think Jeff Okudah would be at the top. Because if he does pop and he ends up being a legit guy in the NFL where you feel comfortable throwing him out there for, 70 snaps every single game defensively, this cornerback room could be incredibly dangerous because you already got Byron Murphy. He's still looking like he's building off his great year last year. You got Isaiah Rodgers, and if you just add Jeff Okudah, that also allows like Mekhi Blackman, not a lot of pressure on him. He can just be that rotational corner as he is still working back from the torn ACL. So, again, this is training camp hype. I don't know if you're buying into it, but you guys let me know. Are you buying into the Jeff Okudah hype? El Jefe, give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Now we'll dive into 2 more winners and 3 losers here in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Factor Form, and specifically Daily Greens by Factor Form. If you guys head to factor75.com/Vikings chat, you guys will get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again. It just wasn't really my thing until I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, most of us, let's be honest, we dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game where you'll actually crave your greens. And Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single serve pack in water, and you're good to go. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made with real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. So if you guys aren't a big vegetables person like I was, Factor Form's Daily Greens is the way to go. And they actually ranked #1 in taste, texture, and aroma in a blind taste test, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/Vikings chat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/Vikings chat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comments section and description of today's show, factor75.com/Vikings chat. All right, so let's round out our winners list here from training camp. Then we'll dive into some losers here in a second. But coming in at number 4, I don't even know if I can call this guy a winner since he's already a proven commodity in the NFL, one of the best wide receivers in the league. But I got to include Jordan Addison on this list. I swear to God, he gets better every single season. And he has been J.J. McCarthy's go-to target with obviously Justin Jefferson missing time with that hamstring injury. But when I'm watching Jordan Addison, even if it's just him running routes on air, his route running somehow got better. Like, he looks more elusive. He's, like, bending the routes off at the top, where it almost looks like he's speed boosting coming out of these routes. I obviously know he's got great hands, but I will make him a winner on this list because, honestly, I think I underrate him. I think a lot of people underrate him, but in terms of just a skilled wide receiver and a guy that's mastering the wide receiver position in the NFL, Jordan Addison is at the top of that list because he's not the biggest. He's not the most athletic, but he just knows how to get open. And he can just create space. And at the end of the day, at the wide receiver position, it's about creating space and catching the football and also having that over-the-top speeds, kind of the icing on the cake. Addison's got all 3 of those things. And then winner number 5 here, nothing specifically he did at Minnesota Vikings training camp, but I did decide to add Josh Metellus to the winners list. Now, you may be asking yourself why. The man got paid, and rightfully so. Schefter tweeting this out about a week ago saying the Vikings have reached agreement today on a 3-year, $36 million deal with Metellus. Max value up to $42 million and $25 million of that is guaranteed. As we know, Metellus, one of the most versatile players in the National Football League. He loves to be a Minnesota Viking, so he's always a guy I'm going to be rooting for, and he is key to this Flores defense. You can line him up literally at every single position. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. You can play him at defensive line, edge, linebacker, slot corner, outside corner, whatever it may be. Josh Metellus can do it, so I made him the 5th winner on today's show. But if you guys want to show Josh Metellus some love, give him his praise for signing that well-deserved contract extension. Give me those 44s down below. Show Josh Metellus some love. I think he deserves it. It's also interesting to see how the Vikings are going to pay him. Like, do you pay him like a linebacker? Do you pay him like a safety? They kind of met in the middle there, but rightfully so. They got that deal done. So give me those 44s down below. Now, the first loser here, and I don't want everybody freaking out because this is a guy I'm incredibly, incredibly high on. But I am going to put Mekhi Blackman on this list. And the biggest reason for this, it has nothing to do with, specifically Mekhi Blackman. It's more about Jeff Okudah, Zamia Vaughn, and Dwight McGlothern. Like, all three of those guys have been getting super, super high praise at training camp, and we really haven't heard anything on the Mekhi Blackmon front. Now, obviously, he is coming off that torn ACL, so maybe he's just taking some time to get back to the full swing of things. And I feel terrible that he had to go through that injury last summer, but I think he just maybe has knocked his spot on the depth chart, maybe 1 or 2 spots after training camp. But again, that's because of the guys who are winners. It's because of Okudah, Zamia Vaughn, and Dwight McGlothern. Now, the second loser here from camp. Hate putting his name here, too, because I am the biggest Ty Chandler guy in the world. When the Vikings drafted Ty Chandler and Jalen Nailor, I was like, hey, that is your future RB2, and that's your future wide receiver 3. I was right about one of them, being Jalen Nailor, but I wasn't right about Ty Chandler. And I think we're at the point where I'm going to start doubting if he ends up making this team. Because Alec Lewis, actually of The Athletic, put out his current 53-man roster projection, and he didn't have Ty Chandler on there. He had the Vikings keeping 4 backs, obviously Mason, Aaron Jones, and it was actually Xavier Scott who ended up making the 3rd running back spot, and then obviously C.J. Ham, fullback at number 4. But 6'1", 220-pound running back from Maine. He's got some awesome hair as well. But he did spend the 2024 season on the Vikings practice squad. I think they probably just trust this guy a little more in blitz pickup, because that's definitely been an issue for Ty Chandler in the past. Maybe they view him having some kick return ability, but as it stands right now, unless Chandler has an unreal preseason, I got some doubts if he'll make the final 53-man roster. Now we're going to have another rookie on here. We're going to go 6th-round pick, Gavin Bartholomew, and he hasn't been out there at practice. And when you're a 6th-round pick in a loaded tight end room, it's going to be tough to make the roster, and especially if you're dealing with injuries. But also, Ben Urasek, UDFA tight end, he has also looked very promising. He was actually pulling down some unreal catches during the red zone drills for the Minnesota Vikings. So I'll give him some credit there. And again, I don't mean this to throw any slight at Gavin Bartholomew. He just hasn't been out there, and you already can lock in TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver. And if I had to call the 3rd tight end to make the final 53, I would probably go Ben Urasek over Bartholomew right now. But again, you have a good preseason game. You have a couple of good showings at the joint practices against the Patriots. That could change very, very fast. Now, we appreciate all of you guys watching today's show. And if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. Shout out to all of you guys. Football is just around the corner, and I can't wait. And we will see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty, you guys let me know. Are you buying into the Jeff Okudah hype? We got Abby Skoll saying Goff is such a system QB. We got 140 people in the building. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We went live at 3 o'clock today instead of 4. So I appreciate all the real ones tuning in today. Shout out to you guys. Great V7 saying you're in the middle. Wazazi saying Skoll. Abby Skoll saying need to see it in the game. Luke saying you going to any games this year? No, I am not. We're going to be live for the games. I wish. But, yeah, we'll be doing watch parties here on the channel, and those will be just as fun. Ryan saying yes. Rogers saying better time. Tracy Major saying yes. And we also had Zach coming in with a $2 super chat. A Broncos fan. How you doing, man? Let's go Broncos. Broncos-Vikings Super Bowl. Zach, hopefully you weren't watching any other shows where I was talking about the Denver Broncos. I was saying you guys were one of the more overrated teams heading into the season. But, hey, if you told me right now it'd be a Broncos-Vikings Super Bowl, I would sign up for that ASAP. But I appreciate you supporting the show, my man. Everybody give me a skull, Zach, down below. Show our Broncos fan some love in the live chat. Yeah, he's laughing down there. I'm sorry. I just got to be honest with you, man. I've been very critical of the Denver Broncos in terms of them being overhyped heading into the season. But I really do appreciate it, man. Shout out to you, Brody. You got great giving us skull, Zach. Same with the Roger Bong. Courtney, what's going on? Pat, in your opinion, what is our O-line ranked in the league? I'd probably say right now on paper it's anywhere between the 5 to 10 range. But I do think they have the potential to be a top 5 offensive line. It's just going to come down to, one, staying healthy. Like Will Fries, Ryan Kelly have had some injuries in the past. So can those two stay healthy? And it's like, what are you getting out of first-year left guard, first-round pick Donovan Jackson? I got full faith in Christian Darrisaw getting back to being the top 3, top 4 left tackle that he was. And obviously you got Brian O'Neill, top 10 right tackle. So on paper, it should be, a top 10 offensive line. It's just going to come down to, like let's just say Donovan Jackson year one, he looks like, a Pro Bowl level left guard. Then we're saying it's probably a top 5 unit. If Ryan Kelly still looks good, if Will Fries lives up to that contract and who he was last season, the potential is there, but on paper, I'll probably go top 10. And if you guys have any more questions as well, please get those down below in the comment section. We'll dive into a mailbag in about 30 or 40 minutes or so. So stay tuned for that. Use hashtag Vikings, or if you guys want to support the show, Super Chat. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. We're at $12 raised right now. If you guys could get us to maybe $30 today, that'll be awesome. So if you guys want to support the show, sending a Super Chat, great way to do so. Also, will guarantee your spot on the mailbag. As B2 Racing saying, Pat, are you streaming preseason? Of course, man. I cannot wait for that first watch party. J.J. McCarthy taking his first snap on a real football field this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alrighty. If you guys are ready to go, I do want to talk about 2 UDFAs who have been turning heads at camp as Jeff Vikings. What's going on, man? Saying, holy moly. What are you saying holy moly about, Jeff? How you doing? Abby saying, do you think we should be a run-first team in 2025? That's a good question, Abby. I'll answer that on the mailbag. But I say we dive into 2 UDFAs that are completely balling out at training camp, and I think both of them are locks to make the roster. So we'll talk about it. Let's get after it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Now, coming up on today's show, I want to deep dive into 2 UDFAs that have been balling out during training camp. And if I had to call it right now, these 2 are a lock to make the final 53-man roster for the Minnesota Vikings, that being Dwight McGlothern and Zamia Vaughn. I want to get this out here very quick because a lot of people were still, making comments. Why didn't the Vikings go out and sign an Asante Samuel, a Rasul Douglas? Why didn't we spend one of our few and only draft picks on a cornerback? I think it's as simple as this. Brian Flores has faith in the cornerback room. He's got faith in Isaiah Rodgers. He trusts in a guy like Jeff Okudah. And also, I think Flores, he saw what Dwight McGlothern did last year during preseason. He probably saw what Zamia Vaughn was putting on tape at Utah. I bet you he's got full faith in this unit for the Vikes. But let me ask you guys this. Weigh in for me here real quickly, then we'll dive into both these guys. What is your confidence level in the Vikings cornerback room? I would probably say the weakest position group on the roster. What's your confidence in it? Scale it for me 1 to 10 down below. If I had to, I'd probably go 6.5 or 7. If you guys disagree or agree, comment your thoughts down below. All right, so we're going to start off here with a nudie, Dwight McGlothern. What a nickname that is. Now, he was one of the 2 UDFAs to make the Vikings roster in 2024 with Gabe Murphy, who, we'll probably do a future show on Gabe Murphy. He could be a hidden gem for this team as well. But while we're talking about Dwight McGlothern, we're actually going to start with going back to last preseason. Do not forget, Dwight McGlothern was one of the biggest winners from training camp and the preseason last year. If you guys remember, we had that joint practice versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, a lot of the main storylines was when Jordan Addison had to get carted off, and that was a week after J.J. McCarthy tore his meniscus. Addison went down. It was like the ceiling was falling on top of us. But a hidden storyline there was Dwight McGlothern was playing some really good football. He was going against some good wide receivers on the Browns, and he was making plays. But that has also continued this year. Will Ricketts, who's been at Vikings training camp, saying this on Dwight McGlothern: he just keeps making plays. After he had an interception on Monday and broke up a pass that created another pick, the second-year cornerback jumped a route and picked off Sam Howell on Tuesday. There are a lot of guys competing for roster spots in the Vikings cornerback room, but it feels like Nudie is going to be on the 53. I agree with that. I think he will be on the final 53-man roster, but also in the preseason last year, this guy was playing fantastic football. Like, these PFF grades are ridiculous. Now, obviously, in a very limited sample size, it's preseason. You're rotating guys in and out, so we only had 80 snaps, but his overall PFF grade was 88.4. Run defense, 85. Coverage grade, 87.3. If he would have replicated this throughout a whole NFL season, these are all pro numbers. Now, again, it's preseason. He was going against a lot of, third stringers, fourth stringers, practice squad guys. So can he maintain that production going against higher competition and getting a higher snap rate? That'll be the question with him. But kind of a quick scouting report here on McGlothern. He's got great length. He's got a super long wingspan. He's got solid press man ability, which obviously Brian Flores loves. Now, what are the reasons why he won't get on the football field, I think, as much as we would like this upcoming year? He's not that good of a tackler, and he doesn't really seem, at least on his college tape, he didn't really seem willing to go tackle and be good in the run support. And he's not the quickest, twitchy athlete out there. And also, when he is in press man, he's got to get hands on wide receivers, because if he gets beat, it will be a big time play. But if he does get hands on you, he shows on tape to be one of the better cornerbacks, at least back at college at Arkansas. Hopefully that translates to the NFL. But I'll ask you guys this. Will Dwight McGlothern make the 53-man roster for the Minnesota Vikings? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. I'm going to go yes. I think he will. I think it also has to also do with there's really not a lot of other guys. Vikings got about 5 to 6 solid cornerbacks. But besides that, not a lot of depth on that practice squad. So I think he'll end up making it. But if you guys disagree, let me know down below. Now, coming up next year on the show, other UDFA at the cornerback position, but from this year's UDFA class, Zamia Vaughn out of Utah. We'll do a full deep dive on him, get you guys everything you need to know. But before we do so, I do want to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. That is Factor Form. Now, start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat. And you guys will get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. I've tried green supplements in the past, was never the biggest fan of them until I pivoted and tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You'll actually crave your greens. As a sister brand of Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. It's got a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste. It's actually enjoyable to drink, and all you have to do is mix a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. My favorite part, in a blind taste test, it ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. So if you guys want to start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form, head to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's talk some Zamia Vaughn here. It's a great feeling knowing that every single year that UDFA class comes out for the Minnesota Vikings. And you can get excited about a couple of these guys because it was Ivan Pace the year before, or 2 years ago. Then it was Dwight McGlothern and Gabe Murphy. And now this year, it's looking like Zamia Vaughn's going to be that guy. So he was a UDFA in the 2025 draft. He played his college football at Utah. Now he is a big corner from Texas, 6'2", 187 pounds. He's also a freak athlete. His actually RAS score as a whole was 8.45, but specifically the 40-yard dash was 4.45 seconds. So he's big, he's an athlete, he's got good instincts, and he's already turning heads at training camp. But this is actually what Alec Lewis had to say dating back to OTAs and minicamp, talking about Zamia Vaughn, saying not going to make too much out of OTAs and minicamp, but one guy who keeps flashing to me is Utah undrafted corner Zamia Vaughn. Just always around the ball, never seems to be out of place. And that is translated to Vikings training camp, which is great because you kind of go through the process as a UDFA. All right, let's see if you're good at OTAs and minicamp. Let's see if you're good at training camp. Then we'll throw you out there for the preseason, and hopefully it translates eventually to regular season ball for this Vikings secondary. But he is also a Brian Flores guy, like a big, tall, kind of instinctual corner who's also extremely fast. Like that is a Flores-esque corner. But also, Will Getz was saying this on Zamia Vaughn, saying he isn't necessarily the most agile or fluid athlete, which hinders him in man coverage, but there's a lot to like about his fit in a Brian Flores defense, and especially in terms of how he could be used as a zone corner. That's probably the best way for his straight line speed, length, and playmaking ability to be utilized. Vaughn was constantly around the football in spring practices, open to the media, which was an encouraging sign. He's someone to watch in training camp as he potentially pushes for a roster spot in a wide open cornerback room. And after training camp, again, it's early, We still got to see preseason games get played out there. I would probably say he's a lock to make this team, though. And I think the Vikings will end up keeping 6 corners. This is who I have making the team at the cornerback position. Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers, Jeff Okudah, and Mekhi Blackman. I think all those guys are locks. And then I think one of either Dwight McGlothern and Zamia Vaughn are a for sure lock. Now, the guy we had missing it was Reddy Stewart. Just hasn't really shown too much at training camp. But I think in terms of him being a lock or not, it just depends if the Vikings are keeping 5 or 6 cornerbacks. Because if they're keeping 5, then the battle becomes 2 UDFAs we're talking about, Dwight McGlothern or Zamia Vaughn. But if they keep both of them, or if they keep 6, then both those guys are going to end up making the team. So, very encouraging sign out of this secondary. We obviously knew the cornerback group was a, massive red flag heading into training camp just because, Rodgers, Okudah, Blackman, even these 2 UDFAs were, pretty much unknowns outside of Byron Murphy. So it's great to see that they're playing well, and they're also getting great competition. It's not like they're going against a weak wide receiver room. And it's always so funny, especially with these training camp highlights where, if you're like looking at like bad teams and all that, it's like take like a Browns corner, for example. It's like, oh, he's showing out at Browns camp. Who is he playing against? He's playing against other Cleveland Browns. But at least we know with these UDFAs, they're getting great looks from Ty Felton, Naylor, Jordan Addison. So it's all signs are looking positive for those 2 guys. But let me end today's show with this. I like this question. Name a random Vikings player down below in the comments section. I think it fits since we're talking about UDFAs here. Get creative for this one. We're talking random, not talking the APs, not talking the Mosses, the Jeffersons. Get weird for me and name a random Vikings player. But we appreciate all of you guys watching. As always, Skol Vikes. All righty. Shout out to you guys. Still got 115 people in the building. With Zazy saying, go Utes. Yes, sir. JJ Vikings. What's going on, man? Skol, you and I got to do a podcast together. I would absolutely love to, my man. You do great work. Keep on doing your thing. A young, ambitious dude in the Vikings media field. Shout out to you, Brody. I see your stuff every once in a while on Twitter. And shout out to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You're only going to get better at it. So shout out to you. I would definitely love to. Just hit me up on Twitter, and we can maybe get something going. Z Cool saying Blair Walsh. It's messed up, Z Cool. It's messed up. But we did have Super Chat coming in. Brandon Drunaski. What a question this is. This might be my burner right here. Cowboys are upset with cornerback Diggs. Any chance of Vikings trade for him? We're going to talk about this in about 2 minutes or so you stay tuned for that. I don't know if it's likely the Vikings trade for him, but there's a chance it could happen at the deadline. But again, all these blockbuster trades we're going to talk about coming up, these are trade deadline moves where, there's every single year in the NFL, you got some teams who you think are going to be really good. They end up being bad, and they end up being sellers at the deadline. And then also the opposite side. You have teams who you think are going to be bad, have a good start to the season. They're like, hey, we're going to buy some players at the deadline, go all in on the season. And we'll talk about Trayvon Diggs. He's definitely the least blockbustery guy we're going to talk about in terms of just impact on the field. But I think he would be a great fit with Flores. He's obviously a ball hawk. He's a gambling corner. Should be a fantastic zone corner in this system with his long arms, good height. So, we'll see if the Vikings can pull that off. It also probably wouldn't run you too high of a draft pick, considering his contract's a little hefty. We probably want the Cowboys to eat some of that money. Maybe you have to send a higher draft pick for that to be the case, but we'll talk about Trayvon Diggs here in a little bit. But if you guys do got a question for me, mailbag coming up in about 15 minutes or so. So last call here, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. We appreciate all the real ones who have Super Chatted up to $17 today. Hey, my goal, $30. That would be absolutely awesome. If you guys want to support us and guarantee your spot on our mailbag, Super Chatting is a great way to do so. Is Harvey Buxton in the building, given his every week Harvey Buxton gives a shot at JJ McCarthy, and it's coming in right now. Antoine Jones, what's going on, man? Antoine, I saw your comment the other day. I love that. The skull and then the clap above the head. I like that. I saw you commented that on a video. That was pretty creative out of you. Jason Olsen saying, hey, Seeps and Skull Vikings from Windham, Minnesota. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to all my guys in Windham. Harvey, we'll include that on the mailbag. Don't worry. Don't worry. Who do you think hates the Vikings more? Harvey Buxton or Colin Cowherd? This could be Colin Cowherd's burner, and we have no idea. Who knows? Corey, that's a great question. That's a great question. Payne Bliss saying, do you think we're a top 10 team? I've seen a lot of top 10 lists and haven't seen us on anybody's list. That's how it's going to be. I think these guys, when they're ranking teams, it's again in the back of their head. It's just quarterback, head coach, quarterback, head coach. Well, we have a great head coach. We have two great head coaches technically on our roster. It's just the J.J. McCarthy blinders. A lot of these, NFL analysts, they weren't high on him coming out of college, and now he's being thrown into the fire, so they're just assuming it's going to be a disaster. But I just think the floor of this Vikings team is just way too high, and if J.J. McCarthy ends up popping, probably talking about this team winning, again, 11, 12, 13, 14 wins. So, yeah, I appreciate you. Passmaster in the building. Corey Miller, no doubt. Who do you think can throw the tightest spiral? You or Dylan? 100% Dylan. I cannot throw a good football. You guys would lose respect for me, I think, if you saw me try to throw a football. So that will never happen. Most boring sport, in your opinion? Regular season NBA hoops. That's what I'll go with. Are you hate watching the Lions game tomorrow? It's just a Hall of Fame game. I won't be hate watching, but that's actually going to be a fun little matchup. Trey Lance will be playing for the Chargers. Taylor Heineke. Maybe we'll see some Hendon Hooker for the Detroit Lions. So I would definitely be tapped in. Omarion Hampton apparently is going to play. First-round pick, running back, who I know a lot of Vikings fans, we wanted him. But, yeah, we're putting you at gunner. Yeah, exactly. Alrighty. We're going to dive into the next segment here. Should the Vikings go all in at this year's NFL trade deadline? Talk about a lot of big names. Will Kwesi get aggressive? Let's break it down. Should Vikings general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah go all in on this season? We're going to be talking about it on today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and when we're talking about going all in, we mean the Vikings pulling off a blockbuster trade. So we're just going to go through the thought process of this. This is just us, speculating on random rumors we have seen thrown out there. But why it makes sense for the Vikings to go all in? Keep it simple. I think you got a Super Bowl roster and a Super Bowl coaching staff. You got a great offensive-minded coach, you got a great defensive-minded coach, and you got one of the most stacked teams, top to bottom, in the National Football League. And also, you got a QB on a rookie deal. So if you are going to go make an all-in move, and you have to take on a lot of money, this is the time to do so because JJ is still on that rookie contract. And also, the Vikings spent a lot of money in free agency. They're not going to have a lot of money next year, so they are telling us as fans, we view this season as a year we can go win a Super Bowl. And fourth, the pressure is on. Kevin O'Connell's got to win a playoff game. They feel that in that building. He has talked about that. It comes down to winning playoff games. That's why I improve both, the defensive line, the offensive line, trying to become more physical, which, that brand of football translates a lot to the postseason. And can you learn from the Rams? When the Rams won their Super Bowl, what was their motto? F them picks. Their GM came out and made T-shirts saying F them picks. So that's why I think it could make sense for the Vikings. But when could this trade go down? If there's any chance of the Vikings making a massive move, it will be at the deadline. Not a lot of these GMs are talking, blockbuster trades right now. They're trying to see what they have in their own building. So all of these trades and all these hypotheticals we'll dive into will be a trade deadline move for the Vikings. But if you want to make a massive trade deadline move, you got to start off hot. And the Vikings' first 5 games are very gettable. My expectation for this football team is that they will be 4-1 after the first 5 games. I think you should start off 2-0. I will have you losing either to the Bengals or Steelers. Who knows? They could also beat both those teams. We could be 5-0 after these. And you obviously will take care of the Browns in London. But I think after these 5 games, you're 4-1. And you hit the bye. You go win the week after the bye, and you're 5-1. I could see this team getting aggressive. So I would see you guys this. I know a lot of people aren't all in on the Vikings making a blockbuster move just because we do need to build through the draft at some point in the Kwesi Adofo-Mensah era. But you guys let me know. Want the Vikes to make a blockbuster move? If it's yes, hit that thumbs up icon. And if it's no, explain why down below. All right, so we're going to go over 5 blockbuster trade targets for the Minnesota Vikings. Won't be giving you guys actual trades just because I think it's a little hard to kind of determine what type of draft capital you could give up, midway through the season. But we'll talk about a guy that we actually talked about last trade deadline all the time here first, and that being Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle for the Tennessee Titans. Now, Jeffrey Simmons, one of the best D tackles in the National Football League, best player on the Titans by far, honestly one of the most underrated guys in the league. And I understand people are already commenting right now, why would we trade for a defensive tackle? We're already stacked there. If you traded for Jeffrey Simmons, he would probably be your second best defensive lineman right away, outside of Jonathan Grenard. But he would be your best defensive tackle. I understand D tackle is not a need, but this would be a Super Bowl push move where it's like, hey, we really are going all in on this season. And with Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, they've had some injuries, especially this past season. Let's just say one of those guys goes down, then maybe you go all in and you get a guy who has been just consistently great in the NFL. He is fantastic against the run. That's his calling card. He takes on double teams, but he can also get to the quarterback at a high level. 5+ sacks each of the last 4 years. He has been fairly healthy as well, only playing in less than 13 games one time over the last 4 seasons. So I think this would be also a blockbuster move where you wouldn't have any, nerves. Like if you bring him in, him getting hurt or him not living up to, who you think you're trading for. But his contract, it's a little hefty. 2025 is on the books for $22 million. So the Vikings probably have to open up some space there. And then 26, it's $25 million. 27, it's $28 million. So, the financial wizards in that Vikings front office would have to somehow make this, work out a little bit. But I think Jeffrey Simmons, even though we don't need a defensive tackle, it'll be pretty, at least it would be a pretty fun move for us Vikings fans. And we'll talk about a guy right here, polarizing player, Trayvon Diggs, cornerback of the Dallas Cowboys. He was pretty terrible this past season, not playing some of his best football, but I do think the Vikings would be able to get Diggs for a 3rd-round pick. And also with his contract, if the Vikes did give up a 3rd, you would assume the Cowboys would eat at least some of that money where you're not taking on that full deal that he is on right now. But, Trayvon, he had that year a couple years ago where he was one of the best corners in the league. Double-digit interceptions, that gambling corner. Yes, he would get beat over the top, but he will also make plays, and that's what Flores loves out of that cornerback position. Guys who can just make plays at the end of the day, but he's also coming off a down year. Here are his PFF grades this past season. Again, was in and out of the lineup due to injury, but overall grade 56.6. That was 145th out of all 222 eligible cornerbacks, so not great look there. Run defense 43.9, really not good there. So I'm sure Flores would have to have a talk with him and be like, hey, you will tackle if you're going to play for our team. But at the end of the day, just a playmaking, gambling corner has had major success with Flores. Like you talk about a guy like Xavier Howard, very similar archetype of corner that Trayvon Diggs is. He had a double-digit interception under Flo, and you would be bringing him into a situation where you wouldn't ask him to be that true lockdown number one. You already got Byron Murphy. You got a really solid CB in a guy like Isaiah Rodgers. You got a great, front four that should be getting to the quarterback at a high level, so you don't need to hold up in coverage as long as you would think. But I'll ask you guys, what say you on this one? Would you trade for Trayvon Diggs? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. I would like this move. I wouldn't love it. It's not like something where I'm like getting on here, popping a bottle of champagne, freaking out about it. But I don't know. You guys answer it for me. Would you trade for Trayvon Diggs? T for trade, P for pass. Talk about 3 more trade targets here in just a second. But before we do so, got to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Down by Chat Sports, and that is Daily Greens by Factor Form. And if you guys head to factor75.com/VikingsChat, you guys will get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I have tried green supplements in the past, was never the biggest fan, and I told myself I was never going to try them again until I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Most of us dread drinking greens in the morning, but Factor Form changed the game. We actually wake up and crave your greens. And it's actually the sister brand to Factor Meals, where Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking just 1 scoop, delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single serve pack in water, and you're good to go. So if you guys want to start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form, head on over to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comments section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. All right, let's close today's show out talking about 3 more guys the Vikings could trade for at the deadline. Now, number 3 here, playmaker, one of my actual favorite players in the National Football League, Okudah Baker. This guy, an extremely versatile, extremely talented, productive safety for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, his name has been floated over the last couple of years in the latest trade rumors at the deadline. Let's just say the Cardinals, some people think they're going to be good. Some people think they're going to be bad. They end up struggling to start this season. I could see them selling a lot of their marquee names. Now, this guy has been healthy over the last 4 seasons. I mean, this past year, the dude at the safety position had 164 tackles. He can play free safety. He can play, strong safety. He can hop in the box. He can line them up damn near anywhere on the football field. And again, he would be a great fit with Flores. I feel like I say that about everybody, but Flores truly does get the most out of these guys. And talk about a guy who's been healthy this past season, playing over 1,000 snaps for the Cardinals, and he's just solid across the board. You see his PFF grades right here. Overall, 16th highest rated safety in the NFL. When you are asked to blitz him, he can do that, but he's great in the run defense, man. He's great at filling holes. He'll come down. He will tackle. He'll put his body on the line. So I would be all in on Okudah Baker. But one guy I do want to talk about that I would not be in on, that's L'Jarius Sneed. Now, a very well-known name amongst NFL fans. Obviously, he was awesome for the Kansas City Chiefs when they were winning multiple Super Bowls there, but he ended up going to the Tennessee Titans, and he is nowhere near the same guy that he was in Kansas City. And his actual PFF grade this past season was 36.3. This would be a move where I would almost trust in Brian Flores if the Vikings did it. And again, you would give up like a 6th-round pick. Honestly, you would probably give up a 6th-round pick because you had to take on his contract as well. But the only way you're making this move is if Flores looks at you and says, I will get the most out of him. I will have him playing like he was with Spags back in Kansas City, which Flores said that to me and I was a GM. I would probably end up trusting him. But Sneed, really no interest there. Again, household name. That's where, these blockbuster trade targets. But I would pass on L'Jarius Sneed. Now, a guy I would be all in on, and I have extreme bias for this player. We're going to go Julian Love, safety for the Seattle Seahawks. Started his career playing with the New York Giants. And funny enough, who did Julian Love go to high school with? Or not with, but attended the same high school? J.J. McCarthy. So you got the connection there with these two. A Chicago kid as well, and he was awesome for the Seahawks this past season. You talk about a safety that's willing to tackle and willing to put his body on the line. That is Julian Love. He was the 8th highest rated safety in the league this past season, and he had the 2nd best run defense grade at 89.5. He's also good in coverage, 77.4, 12th in the league, and he stayed healthy. He's out there on the football field all the time for Seattle, playing over 1,000 snaps. And talk about versatility. He's got that. They lined him up all over the field this past season. Now, he does most of his work at the free safety position, playing 699 snaps there. But you can also see him on the defensive line, playing 29 there. Box safety, 222, and even some nickel for Jay Love, getting 122 snaps there. So I think he would obviously be a good fit with Flores. Doubt the Seahawks want to move off him, but you never know. What if they end up struggling to start the season? They got off to a rocky start. They might end up dealing him. But Julian Love, probably number 1 on this list. And also, this could be insurance. Like if a guy like Theo Jackson doesn't work out, obviously you got Harrison Smith most likely retiring after this season. So I think Jay Love would be a good replacement there. But I just give you guys 5 names. You guys just got to give me one. Name a player the Vikings need to trade for. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. For me, I'll go Julian Love or Okudah Baker. I think another safety would be nice, but hey, if any of these trades do go down, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on today's show. Appreciate all of you guys watching. And real football is almost here. I cannot wait. And it's going to be a really fun season. So shout out to all the real ones for watching. See you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty. Name a player the Vikings should trade for. Aaron Sandy saying Denzel Ward. Not a bad choice either. Denzel Ward is an absolute stud. Yeah, Tommy Wood. It was also tough coming up with just like 5 blockbuster trade targets because I'm like, let's look at the Vikings roster. What do we really need? Notice how none of those players were on the offensive side of the field. Vikings, like, they're not going to trade for anybody on offense. I think it would just be maybe another defensive tackle if Hargrave or Allen got hurt. Maybe you go try to get another corner, but I think safety would maybe be the one. It's Corey Miller saying Sauce Gardner. Sauce got locked up. That was fun. That was a fun 2 days when Sauce was a Viking. But no, unfortunately, Sauce will be staying in New York with Aaron Glenn and the Jets. Randy saying Micah Parsons. Yeah, that would be cool. But I don't know. Like, what if the Vikings offered Dallas Turner and like a first-round pick for Micah Parsons? Even then, I don't know if I would do that because you got to pay him. Cohen B saying I missed all the stream. Oh, you're all good, Brody. Pat, want to bet JJ more picks than touchdowns? 100%. Harvey Buxton, we could take that in a heartbeat. I just got a bet with a couple of guys in the office over under 26.5 touchdowns for JJ. Obviously, I took the over on that. Z Cool, Taysom Hill. That would have been a fun one to include. That's on me. Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome would be a good choice. Very smart, instinctual corner. Oh, yeah, Cohen, you were saying that last week. Congrats, man. The only thing we need is to win a playoff game. I agree with you, Lobster. I agree with you. Pressure is on, but we're going to be diving into this mailbag. Last call to get your questions up on screen and on the show. Hashtag Vikings in the live chat. Or if you guys want to guarantee your spot on the mailbag, you are on what you betting? I'm going to be mad that Harvey. Z Cool asking a QB2 position. That's a great question. We'll talk about that. But again, last call. If you guys want to support the show, guarantee your spot, send it a super chat. It's just a dollar icon below. What about Treylon Burks? Absolutely not. I think we're okay at wide receiver. Yeah, but I am going to be taking some PTO for the next week, so I'll have a ton of videos pre-recorded coming out over the next couple of days. I will be doing some at-home videos, filling important rises from training camp. So, again, last call here. If you guys got a question for me, hashtag Vikings or super chat to guarantee your spot. Cooper DeJean. Yeah, Cooper DeJean would be pretty cool. He's not going anywhere. What if there's breaking news? Cool, I'm all over it. Does not matter. I got you. We'll get that video ASAP. Do not worry. Harvey is our Jeremiah, our king. The best thing that happened to us. I have not watched that show. The Summer I Turned Pretty. I heard a lot of hype about that. One show for all of you guys. Everybody watching. The Waterfront. It is on Netflix. It is one season as only came out so far. Please watch it. If you guys have seen Ozark, it reminds me of that a lot. The Waterfront. If you guys need any shows to watch, it's a quick watch. It's only 8 episodes. Give The Waterfront a chance. It is absolutely awesome. I think it's going to blow up here over the next couple of years. It is very, very, very good. As was AZ. Yeah, Waterfront's good. Dexter was the first show I really ever watched on Netflix. One of my favorites of all time. But I think it's mailbag time. So hashtag Vikings or super chat to get up on the show. Cohen will be live for the next 15 minutes or so. I actually got a flight to catch tonight, so we got to get out of here. But we're going to dive into the mailbag. Last call, hashtag Vikings or super chat. And let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, we got a good old-fashioned mailbag where it's just me and you guys talking about our favorite football team. It is my favorite show I do here every single week on the channel. So let's just dive into it. Let's kick it to a real one. Z Cool actually donated to the show. $10. Shout out to you, man. Saying, hashtag Vikings. How bad is the Jefferson injury? Is this something to keep an eye on throughout the season? It's not bad at all. Kevin O'Connell even talked about him returning to training camp at some point. He said he will 100% be out there without any setbacks for week 1. Now, is it something to keep your eye on? 110%. And that's just the nature of a hamstring injury. This is something that can linger for a very, very long time. And it's not the same hamstring that he hurt in that 2023 season that knocked him out. So that's good news there. But a hamstring injury can linger, man. You may think you're 110%, then you can just come on, you can just hurt it again, and it could be something that sticks with you throughout the season. So no need to worry right now, but just something to monitor as we get closer to week 1. Roger Bong, what's going on, man? How did Jeff Okudah look in his other preseasons? Is this the same old hype? So you actually put this question in before the show. I went back and I was just looking to see if I could find, like, were there any Falcons people talking about Okudah? Not really. This is the first time since his first year in Detroit that he's been getting a lot of love. So I think that's honestly a positive. And also, when you think about Okudah and even the UDFAs we were talking about on a recent show, McGlothern and Zamia Vaughn, they're getting good looks at practice. It's not like they're going up against, like, the Saints wide receiver room or the Browns wide receiver room. Like, you're going up against Jordan Addison, Ty Felton, Jalen Naylor, and you got Keenan Me Cardell coaching that group, the best in the NFL. I'm buying into it. We're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait and see when preseason rolls around, and then obviously the regular season. But I could also see him really not getting too much run in the first game because the Vikings majority of the time in their base defense, there's only 2 corners out there, Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers. So maybe he can end up overtaking Rodgers at some point. But no, he has not had this same hype that he's getting right now at Vikes camp. Abby Skoll, what's going on? Hashtag Vikings. Do you think we should be a run-first team in 2025? Yeah, 100%. I think most of the good teams in the NFL are run-first teams right now. But also, I say that to say this. Our strengths are still on the outside. Still got Justin Jefferson. Still got Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson. You can't completely abandon the pass game because also that pass game under Kevin O'Connell led you the 2 out of the last 3 seasons, winning 13 and 14 games. Now, do they need to lean more into the run? No doubt. But you can't abandon the pass game at all. But in terms of like a run-first team, I don't know if Kevin O'Connell will ever be a run-first offense in his NFL career, but definitely later on in the season when you're going to Lambeau, you're going to Detroit, you're trying to silence the crowd, like having that run game is so huge. So I'm not saying the Vikings should completely buy into the run. We just need to have more production when they do end up running the football. Harvey Buxton, here we go. Hashtag Vikings. The Browns are trading a quarterback away. Should we pick one up? We should. If you guys don't know, Harvey Buxton, longtime viewer of the channel, hilarious guy. He's not a JJ McCarthy believer. I'm going to assume, Harvey, that you're talking about the backup quarterback position for this football team. And if they're trading away like a Kenny Pickett, no. Shador, Dylan Gabriel, no. Joe Flacco, I would have some intrigue there. Also considering the backup quarterbacks for the Vikings, Sam Howell and Brett Rippon. I don't know if this defense is going to be like the 85 Bears, but they look terrible so far at training camp. So only quarterback I'll trade for is Joe Flacco, but definitely not as a starter, Mr. Harvey Buxton. Feeling dangerous. What's going on? Should the Vikings consider signing Christian Wilkins? Yes. So Christian Wilkins was released by the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of drama around that situation. Apparently the Raiders wanted him to get a foot surgery. He didn't want to get it. And there's also an incident where he was apparently kissing a teammate on the forehead. That led to his release. Just a weird situation going on in Las Vegas. But Christian Wilkins, a football player, is a hell of a football player. Now, if the Vikings had a need at the defensive tackle position, I would be all in on it. But he's got that connection with Brian Flores. He's obviously a great talent. The Vikes just have no need to add another defensive tackle, especially a D tackle that definitely has some character concerns. Could be a problem in the locker room. So I would say no. I would probably pass on Christian Wilkins. But let me ask you guys this, because there's a lot of positivity. A lot of people drinking purple Kool-Aid, including myself, who, if you guys watch a lot of Vikings YouTubers, probably drink the most purple Kool-Aid out of all of them. What is your biggest concern about this team? And if it's J.J. McCarthy, let it be that. Because if I'm going to keep it honest with you guys, yeah, that is my biggest concern. And it's not even like a concern because I just think the rest of this team is absolutely loaded. You got a stacked offensive line. You got great weapons, great defensive line, great linebackers, great coaching staff. You maybe don't have a Legion of Boom as secondary, but you do have some playmakers back there. So, I understand this is not the flashy pick for this question, but definitely J.J. McCarthy. All right, we'll dive into more of your guys' questions here in a second, but I got to tell you guys about a new product here at Vikings Sound by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Form's Daily Greens. And start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form by heading on over to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I've tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I pivoted to Factor Form's Daily Greens, and it completely changed how I view drinking greens in the morning. And Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens. And as a sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking just one scoop, delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste, it's actually enjoyable to drink. Mix a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. In a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out some of the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. Alrighty, next question coming in here is from Wazazi, saying, do you think NIL deals harm the NFL? Interesting question. Harm the NFL? I guess like the way it would harm the league is maybe like guys decide to stay in college instead of going to the NFL, but I don't really think it has too much impact. I think NIL is great. It also allows like these quarterbacks, especially like a guy like Caleb Williams. He was making bank his last year at USC. Like, I think a lot of these guys can get kind of blown away when they see like their first rookie contract, and it can cause them to go on an insane spending spree. We can take our very own Adrian Peterson, for example. But I don't really think it harms the NFL whatsoever. But Wazazi, interesting question. Brandon coming in saying, Cowboys are upset with cornerback Diggs. Any chance of Vikings trade for him? No, I don't think there's a good chance. If there's any chance at all, this would be a trade deadline move, or maybe the Vikings start off the year really hot. Cowboys are struggling out the gates, and maybe they're just trying to move off his contract. You can maybe nab him for, a 4th or 5th round pick if you want to take on that deal. Maybe you offer him a 3rd for them to, eat majority of that contract. But it'll be an interesting choice. But I'm hoping we don't need to talk about the Vikings trading for a corner because a guy like Jeff Okudah is balling, Isaiah Rodgers is balling, and again, don't sleep on even Mekhi Blackman or the 2 UDFAs, Vaughn and McLovin. Tommy Wood, how you doing? #Vikings. I think this has been one of our best off seasons in years. Great free agency and solid draft. I believe we're improved at 5 spots, or you think less. Offensive line, major improvement. Defensive line, major improvement. I think your wide receiver room obviously got a little bit of a boost with adding just a guy like Ty Felton in that room. Your running back position got a massive upgrade with Jordan Mason. Cornerback, I'm going to go TBD on there. Just because even though we're hearing all the hype about Rodgers, Okudah, and all the guys, like Stephon Gilmore and Shaq Griffin were, I want to say they were like really good, but they were just solid for this team this past season. As I'm seeing Harvey Buxton saying QB downgrade in the live chat right now. I'd probably say they improved at 4 or 5 positions. And, hey, you improve at 4 or 5 positions. You won 14 games last year, only losing to 2 teams. This is a good football team. People are sleeping on the Minnesota Vikings. Michael, what's going on? What is the latest on Asante Samuel Jr.? His medicals have to be messed up. I don't think he's medically cleared to play. A lot of teams have a need for a corner. Like the Miami Dolphins, they have one of the worst secondaries possibly on paper of all time. They signed 2 new corners, both not named Asante Samuel. Even the San Francisco 49ers, they could use another corner. They just signed Eli Apple. So clearly there is something going on with him. We heard that he was dealing with that shoulder neck injury, so there's no chance that he's going to be a Minnesota Viking. I remember that the one guy said he saw like Asante Samuel wearing a Vikings hat in a nightclub. That was a wild video we did, but ended up not being true. So yeah, no real updates there. He's just not medically cleared to play. Z Cool with the dominant looking defensive line. How many sacks this year? How many sacks week 1? How many sacks week 1? I'm gonna go to set the tone. I'll go 6. I think the Vikings will get 6 week 1. I think last year they had 44. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check for you guys. 49 sacks last year. Tied for 4th in the league. I'll say they get to, I mean, you're adding 2 elite interior pass rushers that you absolutely did not have this past season. I say they get to 55. So if you get to 55, quick math here on the spot. 55 divided by 17, you average 3.2 sacks per game. Yeah, I think the Vikings could 100% do that. So I go 55 to 56, right around that area. Corey Miller, love this. Who do you think hates the Vikings more, Harvey Buxton or Colin Cowherd? That's a very tough question. That might be the toughest question we got on today's show, Corey. I'm going to lean with my guy, Harvey Buxton, though. But also, I know Harvey, the difference between Harvey and Colin, Harvey's going to admit he's wrong to me after, I think it's going to be week 2 Sunday night. When the Vikings are 2-0, it's 11:30 at night, and we're all super excited. I'm going to go Harvey hates him more right now, but I think Harvey's going to change his tune. It's just going to take 2 games. Just wait on that. But we appreciate you guys watching today's mailbag. A lot of fun chopping it up with you guys. And if you guys watch this entire thing, hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. Cannot wait for the first game day. It's going to be a lot of fun. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter at Pat Sieps. That's the handle. Link for the Twitter is also in the comment section and description of today's show. So hit me up over there. See you guys next time. As always, Skull Vikes. Alrighty. We appreciate everybody for tuning in today. But unfortunately, I have to go catch a flight. So we're going to hop on out of here. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. Over 1,400 people. So that is awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. So see you guys next time. If anything happens while I'm on PTO, obviously you guys will get a video. But videos coming out all week. And yeah, appreciate everybody. See you next time. Skull Vikes.